Point of View is brought to you in association with Castlegate Estate. We make home ownership easier, and Stanbic Bank, moving forward.
Hello and welcome to The Point of View. It's Monday and we're ready to talk about big issues in Ghana. The show is live and interactive on Facebook at CityTVGH and our hashtag is The Point of View. Well, we bring the right guests all the time. We ask them relevant questions and we come up with some useful insights. And because it's interactive, we're happy to take your calls or comments actually by WhatsApp on the number we'll be placing on the screen. And of course, we're on Twitter as hashtag Point of View. Tonight, I'm going to ask a question we've asked before. How ready are we for the floods? But I'm going to do it in a very interesting way. I'm going to start by talking to the people who can predict the weather pattern. So earlier on in the day, I went to the Ghana Meteo Agency at Bawaleshi in Accra, La Bawaleshi, to ask them about how ready we were for the rains in terms of the volumes. And then when we are done, I'll come back in-house to speak to the Mayor of Accra, Mohammed Ajay-Soa, who's in his favorite green shirt. Mohammed, great to have you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor. And then I also have Kofi Kekeli Amedzro. He is a development and urban planner at the Special Planning Authority. You're welcome, Mr. Amedzro.
Thank you very much.
Amedzro in Ewe means guest. So you are my guest on the show tonight. So we're going to start with my visit to the Ghana Meteo Agency. And then after that, I'll show you a report on the effect of a few hours of rain in parts of the country and its aftermath. So we still want to understand what the forecast is for the next few months. We were told that we should expect more heavy rains with thunderstorms this year. Joseph Potufi is the head of forecasting at the Ghana Meteo Agency. So you said to us a few days ago that we should expect heavier rains this year. Why?
Yes, because of after doing our analysis, we realized that yes, the systems that will be coming will be very violent. And as I said it on Friday, and yesterday you saw what happened. It came to pass.
Is it going to be throughout the country or in specific parts of the country?
And in specific part of the country. In fact, the northern part of the country has not received anything yet. Once the rainy season is going to start at that place too, they also receive the violent rain.
So the rainy season starts at different parts of the country at different times?
Yes.
So I'm told that the western coastal part is the heaviest.
Yes.
So their rainy season has started already?
Yes.
And we are going to have the heaviest rain there?
Yes.
Then you said the transition zone and the forest zone also are going to have a lot of rain?
Yeah.
Explain the difference between the two.
Yes, the transition zone is the zone just after Ashanti region, Northern Volta, and the Brown Afro region. In between that zone and then the northern region, that's what we call the transition zone. The reason why we call it the transition zone is that they have a weather peculiar to the north and then peculiar to the forest area. So at times they can behave as if it's a northern region, at times they behave as if it's a forest region. So we normally classify them as a transitional zone.
And their rainy season will start from the 4th week of March right into 2nd week of April. That's when it's going to start.
Yes.
And it's going to be heavier this year there than previously.
Very well.
And you're also saying that the forest area is going to have heavier rain.
Yes.
And then you said the upper east and upper west for the first time will have more rain than the average.
Yes.
How come?
Yes, because the analysis that we did, the parameters show us that this is what is going to happen in those areas. However, I will still continue to be monitoring with our analysis, and then if there is any change in the forecast, we just have to come up and then give an update. But for now, this is what is going to happen.
So let's talk about potential effects of this rain. Western coast, coastal area, eastern coast, normal rain. Western coast is not going to cause any flooding because of the way the place is, right?
Yes, there are times, because Takrade is a cosmopolitan area, people are built and then they have also used pavement and that sort of thing. So at times they do have a little floods, but not like Accra. But for Accra and Kumasi, Koforidua, yes, because we are vulnerable. Our resilience is not so strong. So definitely when we have a lot of flood, yesterday like this, what happened in Accra, airport recorded about 51 millimeters of rain. Accra Academy and its environs recorded about 76 millimeters of rain. But what happened is that because there was rain during 3 days ago. Already the soil is saturated. So any additional rain, it must be runoff. And let's also not forget that Accra is to the coast, and we have environs like in Sawam, Pukwasi, Oda, and all the environs. When it rains heavily there, they trickle down towards here into the sea. So when it's raining there and it's raining in the Greater Accra region too, then there's a problem, because all of them are going to converge from one zone into the sea.
So even though the higher than average rain is in the transition and forest zone, those in the coast should expect the effects of that.
Perfect.
Because of the runoff water and the river bodies.
Yes.
But the upper east and upper west worries me, because we know that there's the Bagri Dam that they also spill.
Yeah.
So they're going to have more rain in the two upper regions.
Very good.
That means that the likelihood of flooding could be more as well.
Yes, but I think the government is doing something about that. I think they are doing some dam there which can withhold some of the, how do we call it, the water for it to, not to come. But for us here, they definitely, when it comes, it will definitely affect us.
From a climatic perspective, why are we having higher than average rain in some parts of the country?
Yes, because of the environment one. Certain areas, when it comes to the forest areas, they have a lot of trees. They have a lot of mountains. And when it comes to mountainous areas, we have what we call orographic lifting. So if they have a lot of moisture, because it is higher ground or mountainous area, the moisture will just rise a little, or then it gives them rain. But for when you're on a flat land, it will take a long time to rise to a certain point before you get the rain. So those are some of the reasons why it happens like that.
So now that we are in the second week of April, we can say that for most parts of the country, the rainy season has started.
Almost 85% of the country have started, the rainy season has started. It's only left with the few places in the upper west and upper east.
And how long is it going to last?
Yes, yes, for the coastal and the middle belts, the rain is going to start now, and by mid-July, the rainy season will be over.
Wow, so from 9 till mid-July?
Yes, mid-July, yes.
And then from the northern part?
The northern part, they will start from now all the way up to October ending. That's where they are, because they are mono rainy season, but we in the middle and the coastal areas have a how do we call it, a dual rainy season. We have the minor and then the major. What we have now is the major. The minor will come after September, October, before we get into the Harmattan.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we are talking to Mr. Joseph Potufi, who is the head of forecasting, predicting that 2019 we're going to have more rain in some parts of the country, the middle and parts of transition belt, upper east, upper west, and then parts of the coast. And he's saying that this rainy season is going to be more, it's going to run off water. Before we go, what are these things standing behind me? I can see something like a satellite dish here,
yes,
and a couple of things. Can you tell us what these things are?
Yes, when we went to the room,
yes,
the satellite receiver that we saw, that's the satellite dish.
Okay, this is it.
This gives us every 15 minutes the weather parameters, actual weather parameters happening in the atmosphere. Now this is
this is like the cage.
Yeah, this is a temperature sensor. You know, we put it in the case so that it will not have interference with.
So this is what we call the temperature.
Yeah, that it gets the temperature recording.
And what about this?
This will also give you the temperature recording, the wind sensor, the wind speed, and everything. It's also here. Amazing. And this is automatic. This is automatic. This one is conventional one. It's the one that our great-grandfathers have been using. So okay, you go and then you open it, and then you read the thermometers, and it gives you the maximum and the minimum temperatures.
So you've gotten the confirmation on citi, Mr. Joseph Potufi, very clear. More rains in parts of the country. The rainy season is already upon us. So the next question is, what are we doing from a human side to manage the rains? I'll be speaking to the Mayor of Accra and some urban planners to explain to us our readiness to deal with the oncoming rains. This is the point of view. Stay with us. So that was a few hours ago at the nice Mempasem office of the Ghana Meteorological Agency. So I have, as I said, Mohammed Ajesowa. He's the Mayor of Accra. And I also have Kofi Kekeli Amedzro, is an urban planner. So, gentlemen, welcome again to the show. You don't seem too excited.
Thank you very much.
So I wanted to show you some of the maps again, and I'll do that soon. But I learned a few things today, that the place that has the most rain in Ghana is the southwestern corner, the Axim area. And it says that area, it rains a lot, but because they haven't built up the area that much, they don't have a lot of runoff water, except in Takrady. So even though it rains more there than here, we have more problems here than there because all of us have come to stay here. Very interesting. And then it says, in the transition zone, there's actually more rain than in Accra. So Accra doesn't have that much rain. It's just that because a lot of the runoff water comes down, we will have a lot of water, even though we don't have as much rain as we have in transition zone. And he also said that the upper east and upper west will have more rains than usual. Let me show you that map again. I thought it was interesting. So if you check this map, MAM is March, April, May. And then AMJ is April, May, June. So today I'm a weatherman today. So MAM rainfall forecast. So you see the green line under Damongo, the deep green, that's the transition zone. That area actually has a lot of rain this year, higher than average rain. And look at your south, western corner. Maximum rain. The forested areas, a lot of rain. So you see the Accra area doesn't have that much rain. All right. So the Accra and transition have similar type of rain volumes. Although this year, the transition has more rain. Okay, then if you look at also April, May, June as well, there's a similar pattern that's showing there. But I think the point is clear. More people live here, less percolation, more harder substances, and therefore you're going to have more problems. So, and let me just give you something else quickly. While the map is up there, let me just tell you something. So if you live in the West Coast, your rainy season has started already. Because in the West Coast, the rainy season started the 4th week of February. If you live in Accra, which is the East Coast, our rainy season started in the 4th week of March. So actually, 2 weeks ago was when our rainy season officially started. If you live in the Upper East region, you are the last person whose rain will start, 4th week of April. So Upper East region, your rain is starting next 2 weeks. Serious rain. This week, which is the 2nd week of April, the northern region started their rain. And then we're also told that the Upper West will start their rain next week. So those are a few points. Let me take your general comments on this. Then I'll show you a quick report about flooding. Any surprises there for you, Mayor?
Well, not at all, because I've been following with keen interest on environmental matters, especially my active interest on issues relating to climate change. And based on that, we've done extensive study also in Accra, what the triggers of climate change in Accra. And it was so obvious that, I mean, waste management is one area that it's also contributing to the climate change. And for us in Accra, dealing with the issues of waste is not just about clean Accra, but there are other effects that we are looking at, which is the issue of climate change. And it's been predicted that the rains are going to be more heavy within a very short period. Yesterday, for instance, I was actually in the rain, and I was on my way from Tetekwashi, and I was driving a very small car myself, and I was alone in the car. And because I know Accra so well, I knew where to navigate through. But there are many places that I saw a lot of cars that has also been pushed by the water into the drains. So if you are not too sure of the city when it's raining, you just have to park somewhere. But people were still moving, and I was also breezing through the rain to come to my final destination. And it rained just for a very short period, but very intense, very heavy. And I saw a lot of from Jowulu side through, because I didn't go through when I got out from Regent Tetekwashi, right to the airport, there was heavy traffic, and I couldn't understand why there was traffic. So I immediately went through President Kufuor's site airport. And my wiper was to the fastest, but it was still
couldn't see well.
Still couldn't see well. So that, you don't need to be a meteor person to tell you that this rain is very heavy. So you have to drive very slow if you want to risk, and then to put your hazard on so that the oncoming cars will
Which
also
means
see.
you are not surprised about the volume of rain, which means you should be planning for it. So I'll come to the planning.
Exactly.
Kofi, you're a planner.
Yeah.
You're a development planner.
Yeah.
To what extent do you listen to the weather forecast in some of the plans you put in place?
Concerning the plans you're talking about, when you're talking about the resilience of the city, first of all, even to start with the development of the city, we do serious analysis about which areas are floodable, which areas are not floodable, and all that. So for us, we demarcate areas that are liable that we are not supposed to develop, because our level of technology and all those things has not gotten to the part that you have to do serious or massive engineering. But the unfortunate part is that our practices in terms of development, you find lots of people building waterways or areas that are liable to flooding in terms of design, even regarding our city, we realize that we are concretizing almost every part of the city. When you look at the urban management system, for example, traffic management, when you look at certain practices, you realize that, for instance, the medians of roads that are supposed to be green, you will find out that most assemblies are paving this median and then making it concrete. So all these concretization is a major factor. He already mentioned the issues of waste management, which is critical. Most of our waste management practices are not the best. So you find quite a huge percentage of our waste ending up in the drains, which is an issue. And that, concerning the drains, some of them are quite old. And then you bring in the issues of telcos, where even there are correct drains. Realize that most of these companies, because they want to bring in their fiber optic cables and all that, they cut through, and then you realize that it distorts the drainage patterns and all that. So there are quite a number of issues.
All right. So what I want to do is to show us a quick video clip. Kojo Ajiman put a report together. He's a City News reporter. After the rains over the weekend, he went to various parts of Accra which had borne the brunt of the rains, and it wasn't a pretty sight.
The flood, the mud, and the filth. This is Sahara in Accra. Yet the peak of the rainy months are still to come. The president wants to make this city the cleanest in West Africa. But scenes like this show he has a long way to go. This area floods every time it rains. Everything stops. Zainab, a resident here, is writing her secondary year final exam soon. But whenever dark clouds draw over, she panics.
It worries me so much because I have only 2 years to learn. And this reason, I was in school when the weather changed. Even my books and my textbook are spoiled.
It's not just Zainab. Aminu is also the frustrated shopkeeper.
Now they come, not be easy for the road because the
getting here wasn't easy. The place is muddy and slippery. This is what we always go through whenever it rains. It seems normal now.
Another danger is the Odo River. It usually flows into the surrounding homes, stalls, and workshops. 2 years ago, all of this was underwater.
This is why many say government is doing little to solve perennial flooding in the capital. From the conversations with the residents, they want more proactive measures by government to deal with the flooding in this area. Maybe it is time for government to revise its notes.
The Accra Mayor's office is responsible for the safety of this community. But what preparations have they made for occasions like?
So I noticed that the mayor's heart was beating when I was playing this. This was actually from last year. So what Kojo Ademan did was to show us first, a year ago, the flooding situation. But we sent him out to do a report again only this weekend after the weekend rain. So what you saw was last year's issue with flooding. So now let's see what happened after this weekend's rains.
Scenes like these welcome you at Adabraka, Sahara. These images show what is left of the floods. Adabraka, Sahara lies on the banks of the Odo River, one of Accra's biggest storm drains. But anytime it rains, residents bear the brunt.
It was a heavy rainfall and the wind was blowing very heavily. So I wanted to stay for a while before leaving. But I decided to just, see what was going on. So it just started raining unexpectedly, very heavily. So we couldn't stand it. So a lot of people having fridges, plasmas, and all lot of stuff. And it was a shock in the water and stuff. So we need to help them and bring them out to let them cross the rainfall and come outside. So that was what happened. It wasn't easy. So something must be done.
This drain up to the Kole. If they dredge this drain, and they didn't do anything at the Kole, I don't think they are doing anything. Because if the water flow from this place to the Kole, it hits and comes back. So we are begging the mayor to make sure that they will work at the Kole so they can dredge the Kole inside deep so the water can flow from this place to the Kole, after the Kole to the sea.
This church was also not spared. Let me go in and find out what is left of the church and the mission house and the people who are currently trying to, count their losses.
Last night we have slept and we saw that it was rain. And before we watched the ground, everywhere was full up. So we can't pack our thing. We run away. All things in the church have wept. Our food, our clothes, our mattress, even church mats, all wept. Some are be throwing away. And here is a police station. We need government to come and help the house. We can never afford. All these things spoil for us. Church mattress spoil more than 35. And then some chair to the rain carry away.
Like every other year, when the rains set in, they have to deal with the devastating effect once the rains stop. The Member of Parliament for the area is not happy about what her constituents go through during these times.
Up to this point. So what you see here is not flowing water. It's just a little bit of superficial water flowing over the riverbed. This whole area was part of a river. And we've gotten a drain here, and it appears as though the capacity has been limited because it's not been dredged. Unless we have a solution that says that all the way leading up to where the water comes from, there's not going to be sand entering this channel way. We have to make dredging part of the solution, or we stop the sand from coming in from upstream. And all the adjoining constituencies and the constituencies all along this river, all the way up to the mountains. There needs to be a concerted action, not just by those of us who are suffering the flooding, but from those who are upstream, which means that whether it's the issue of reservoirs for the rain or the issue of people throwing rubbish into their drains upstream and affecting those of us downstream, it all has to be addressed.
She feels city authorities are not doing the needful.
And now we need to walk the talk. Enough talking and doing what needs to be done. What's going on here? If this is the first big rain we've had this year, and already we've had such devastation, I dread to think what it's going to be like when the rains actually start to come in. And the Meteorological Office has told us that this year the rains are going to be very, very heavy. And I'm so disappointed that we had the dry season and the efforts were not made to dredge this, and now we are being told that it's being dredged.
Maybe because it's expensive.
Everything is expensive. Does that mean that you won't do what you have to do? We were told this was going to be done. It should have been done. And the best time to do such a thing is in the dry season when you don't have the rains coming in and causing floods.
At Mamprobi, some residents are salvaging what is left of their belongings.
The rainfall, and we all get out coming. Like we saw some of the things are broken and things, but I saw my animal, like the water have taken it, and I just go and take it and bring it back. But they are 5 and 3 are gone. So many too.
The structures of Accra's drains are questioned, especially during the rainy season. The government announced a $5 million budget to enable work to begin on a number of critical storm drains ahead of the rainy season this year. Though residents of the affected areas are yet to benefit from this project, government has started implementing some short-term measures, which include the dredging or the silting of drains in South Kaneshie, Awudomi Cemetery area, and the Ring Road West drains, Adabraka Odona drain to channel waste into the Kole Lagoon, among others. The choking of these storm drains with silt and waste has largely been responsible of Accra's perennial flooding. 2 of these drains are at Banana in Dansuman and Shiabu.
This drain between Ablekuma South and West also got flooded yesterday, and residents living along this drain had to bear the brunt.
Raining from the top there, so before it got here, as this one also started, and because the pressure in it can't go, so it has to return back. And mostly what happened is, if you can see the bridge across the road, whenever it's raining, because it's very down, because the bridge is very down, so whenever it's raining, and mostly there's people pour rubbish in the gutter when it's coming. So when it go there, if it can't move, go down there, then you have to float back with the rubbish in it all. So that's what happened. As he entered the room, we have no option than to bring them out and dry them. I think most of them have got spots, so there's nothing we can do. That's the things we lost.
One vibrant river with a vibrant aquatic life. Residents along this river body used to fish, swim, and have a lovely life. But then, as you can see, the state of this river is nothing to write home about. Now, this river also collects water from Dansoman, Odoko, Mamprobi, Chemwena, Choko, Oshiabu, and then Banana area. So it means that if it is able to collect waters from these areas and then empties it into the sea, these areas, when it rains, will not flood. But then that is not the case here. I have here with me one resident, Samuel Inkum, who will join us to tell us more about this once vibrant river. You were 2 years, as you told me earlier on, that you were 2 years and you were brought here. Tell us about life around this water body back then.
Oh, nice. The water body is very difficult for us here because when I came here, when I was young, I came here. Any time the rain will fall, we will find it difficult. Last time when the rainfall, this area everywhere was full of water. Some people's room and those things. So some of them even carrying their babies on their lap and standing in the water. They can't even.
Why is it so? Because I've seen that a lot of plastic waste is seated deep here. Yes. So it means that the water cannot flow. I've also been told that residents here have turned this water body into a dumping site.
Yes, as you are saying is true, because some big gutters join this river. But you don't know where all the plastic rubbers and those things come from. If only this area, it cannot be like this. All the water bodies carry some equipment and those things come here because it is big. So every gutter get inside. It come every day. Even when it is rain, it's carrying AVS one here. You can see this bridge. It was yesterday when the rainfall. It is very big gutter. When it took, the wood cannot stand and it break it. So what we need is, if they come and help us with the gutters and they work in this river, and this river will become good for us and no water disturb us, that one we will like it.
All right. Thank you. Now, behind me is a gentleman taking money from residents who want to connect from Choko to Oshiabu. I don't know why he's taking the money, and I don't know why what he'll be using the money for. Let me get close to him and ask him why he's doing this.
The government is not doing anything for us. The government is not doing anything for us. Secondly, we the people in the community, we contribute money for those things. So if, let's say, the rain falls, it spoils the bridge, at least we are supposed to get something small for us to do the bridge. So if they are not paying, where are we going to get our money to do those things?
So how much are you charging each person who crosses?
Normally, if the bridge is there, we take 10 pesos, 20 pesos. But now the bridge is spoiled, so we take 50 pesos for each person.
So am I to believe you that this 50 pesos you are taking from residents here is going to go into the construction of a new footbridge?
Yeah. Even we've ordered the wood. They are bringing it from Timber Market. Yeah, we just ordered the wood from Timber Market.
I want they should do the bridge so that school children and grown-ups can pass on it and go to their work or school.
What about you?
I want they should arrange the bridge so that everybody can pass, so that nobody can fall inside the water.
Residents of Choko, Shiabu and Banana Inn are demanding from government the dredging of this river, Chemwena. They believe that if this river is dredged and then it regains its natural status, the perennial flooding in these areas will be a thing of the past. My name is Kojo Ajiman reporting for Citi News.
So that was Kojo Ajiman's elaborate report. I'm here with the mayor and a town and country planner. We'll come back and ask the mayor one simple question. Why? Stay tuned.
Living among your peers in a serene gated community with tarred roads, drains, electricity, piped water supply and 24-hour security can be so relieving. That is the experience you will enjoy when you reserve the Castle Residency plots located near Prampram Beach and Katamanso near Adenta Barrier. Just pay up to 60% deposit and start construction to start enjoying Prampram Beach and Airport City life. You can start with any deposit. We give you a whopping 10% discount if you make an outright payment. The Castle Residency plots are managed by Castlegate Estate Ghana Limited. Locate our offices at Katamanso Estate site off the Adenta Barrier Dodua Road or Prampram Beach Road next to Oasis International School, or contact us on 0545 559928, our website on www.castlegateestate.com.gh, or email us at info@castlegateestate.com.gh. The Castle Residency Plots. We make home ownership easier.
Go. Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you. 30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on Citi TV. Go.
Welcome back to the show. So, Mayor of Accra is here, urban planners also here. So, you saw that report from Odona here to Mamprobi to Choko. Same story. And it hadn't rained for more than 2 hours. And this is just the beginning of the rainy season. It means that things are going to get serious.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity once again. And let me say good evening to your viewers. As the one in charge of Accra, basically within the AMB area, let me say that some of the areas are not really within my jurisdiction, but we're working together towards the same goal. So
where is your jurisdiction? Let's describe it for me to know.
I mean, technically speaking, where we had presently is not within my
jurisdiction. Even Adabraka is not beyond.
Even Adabraka, is outside my jurisdiction now.
Since when?
So, I mean, since about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious with that.
So Adabraka is now a sub-metro.
Exactly. It's a municipal assembly. It's a municipal assembly. It's an autonomous body on its own, and we have its own chief executive, its own assembly.
Klote Kole.
Yes, municipal assembly. So we are working towards the same goal, and we work together because.
What about Kaneshi?
Kaneshi is within my jurisdiction.
What about
part of Kaneshi?
What about Choko?
Part of Kaneshi is within my. Part of Kaneshi is not within my jurisdiction. For instance, the
First Light.
First Light Akraka is within my jurisdiction. The opposite side is Ablekuma Central. It's not within my jurisdiction. Choko is within my jurisdiction. Shiabu, that side is in Ablekuma West, which is Dansoman area, and then many other areas. But
so then your Accra is now like a meat pie. The thing is finished.
It's a pizza.
The pizza. It's left with 2 slices.
But we are in the downstream, and we received all the waste and the water that comes from upstream. So in case of heavy rains like this, even if we have desilted and dredged our side and nothing has been done upstream, certainly all the waste will wash
still
down.
come.
And that's why we need to work, in a coordinated fashion within the region so that we'll be dealing with these issues. Now, let me also say that every year we desilt all the primary and the tertiary drains in Accra and prior to the rainy season so that we'll be able to clear the waterways so that water will flow freely to the Odo. And then the Odo and the Kole Lagoon is also dredged early enough in anticipation of the rain. Because we have open drains, and presently you cannot also disconnect waste from flooding. In fact, studies which was done in 2016 after the June 3rd disaster, the city's strength diagnosis report by the World Bank clearly indicates that flooding is also largely caused by waste. So for me, dealing with waste management issues, fundamentally you are also dealing with issues of flooding because there's a correlation between waste, especially solid waste in it. But then our storm drains, if you look around, you will see that our storm drains, which were constructed way back in the 60s and 50s, and sometimes, they are the same storm drains that we have. Yeah. So they are dysfunctional, they have become more smaller, some have caved in, and they can't carry the volume of water which we have. Fortunately, just about a month ago or so, the Ministry of Works and Housing have come to the aid of the region by awarding contract for the construction of the storm drains in Accra. And we started it. Last Friday, I went around with the hydro department in places like Abekan areas that they started. They would do Sukura, they would do the South Industrial area, and many areas. I must admit that work that had commenced had not gotten to a point where you could say that storm drains have been constructed and that will allow free flow of water. We are hoping that the contractors will speed up the process so that we can avert some of the avoidable flooding in some areas because the rains are going to fall heavy. And then the Kole Lagoon, which is the main problem because even if you have the best of drains, all the water ends in the Odo and the Kole Lagoon. So if the Kole Lagoon is not dredged, certainly we will have a difficulty. We've commenced. I heard the MP for the Kole Klote complaining bitterly, but she should tone down. Indeed, we had commenced dredging of the Kole, but better late than never.
When did you start?
It started last week. Better late than never.
But why do you wait a week to rains to start dredging?
Well, I don't work with Matthew, so I don't know. But I know that
I know. They've told us that the rains will start.
I know that the rains is going to start. But we usually it is in the middle of May that you will receive heavy rains. And the way our system is, if you dredge it, it will come back again. Until we are able to fix the fundamental issues.
Was it that you were having difficulty moving squatters? Was that why your dredging delayed?
Not really.
That wasn't the reason.
As for AMA, we are noted of moving squatters, so it
wasn't a problem.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Because one of your officials was quoted as having said that, so that's not true. So it was money. You didn't have money.
Well,
Mayor, let's be frank. Your predecessor spoke about the Conti project and dredging.
Yeah.
It's been a major issue. Last year, I interviewed you here about dredging, and you said you were going to dredge.
Yeah.
We are in April 2019, and you said you started dredging last week. So I don't want to assume that you forgot. You didn't have the resources. How much does it cost to dredge the Odo?
Well, it costs a lot of money to dredge the Odo and the Kole Lagoon. And you could see that there's a lot of silt apart from the solid waste that you can find. There's a lot of silt. The siltation level is so high. So sometimes if it rains, not even too heavy, you can find, because half of the rain, I mean, just walk down, you see that there's a lot of silt in that, and there should be a constant removal of the silt from the odor, because if we are able to continue to do that, then you have a basin that can collect a lot of water. And what sometimes worsens the situation is when there's a high tide on the sea. So if you don't have a lot of space within the Koli to collect and hold the water, and there's a high tide.
To bring the water back. So course, sorry, must the dredging start upstream or downstream?
It starts from upstream.
So the people beyond your jurisdiction have to start, and then clear water comes in for you to do the final work.
Well, that's. I mean, there are other water bodies in town. For instance, the Chemun that you've seen, and other, the Lafa. There are some in some other areas. But the point is that the Koli and the Odo is the main
receptacle.
Yeah. Do you understand? That's the main receptacle, and that one must be done. And that's what we started somewhere last week.
Kofi, let me ask you, is Accra salvageable?
Yes.
Be very honest with me.
Yeah, I think it is. When you look at what he's talking about, you see, I think that it needs an integrated management approach to solving this problem. Because when you are looking at a basin, you are not only looking at Odo or Koli. So you are looking at all the dendritic pattern of water conductivities that are existing. That is one. But one key thing I've realized is that most of the riverbed, people are really developing in it, which is a key challenge.
They are developing in the riverbed?
Close to the floodable areas, the riverbeds and all that. Aside that too, as he earlier mentioned, waste management is key. If we do not have proper waste management systems to prevent this solid waste from ending up in the drain system, forget it. So the dredging, the silting are just short-term solutions to some of these challenges. We need massive, serious engineering solutions concerning the drain connectivity and all that. You also have to look at developing what we call receptacles upstream, places around atomic and all that, so that when the river, the water is coming from upstream, downstream, those receptacles can actually hold some of the water. And then we have what we also call green infrastructure network. It's simply building trees, just tree planting along these water bodies, having more greeneries so that we can actually hold lots of water. And again, as you mentioned, you realize that because of the old nature of the drainage system in terms of its design and all things, the population increase, the silting and everything is actually making the problem more compounded. So unless we stop, we engineer a proper waste management system whereby we are able to have an integrated waste management system that's able to ensure that the solid waste doesn't get into the main drain systems, we have to also do what we call serious upgrading within the settlements that are close to the Odo. We have to re-engineer.
Let me ask you, looking at the way Accra is being sliced into smaller assemblies, is that better for managing the drainage system, or would we have needed a larger centralized authority?
I think within the urban planning management practice, you have places like Greater London Authority. There are issues like infrastructure, environmental issues. That's when you are planning for. You can't do it piecemeal or slice-based approach. You need a broader overview. So you talk of the Greater London metropolitan area. When you are planning infrastructure like railway networks, road networks, sanitation and all that, you need an integrated approach. You can't have an approach that you sit in your municipality or metropolitan area and you say that I'm planning for this, because almost everything is related to everything else. You look at transportation and they are like arteries within your body. When one place blocks here, it affects everything. That's why we need that greater metropolitan approach to handling some of these issues. If we keep subdividing, in terms of coordination, it becomes problematic. You have to assemble more district assemblies to even undertake a very small project. You get my point?
So do you know if other assemblies upstream, Kwabenya, coming down to Abofu, all the way through to even Aveno into Adabraka, do you know if they've started any Dredging? Because these are not in your jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Have they started anything?
Of course. At Denta, I can say that I have started something. But I just don't want to pick on few assemblies. I think that I share the position of my brother here, that urban planning is becoming more challenging the way it is now. And it is important we look at it from on a bigger scale so that we can plan very well and then execute some of the things that we are doing. Because, look, there's a project that government of Ghana has received funding from the World Bank to deal with some of these issues. And that's post the June 3rd
What's the name
disaster.
of the project?
That's the Greater Accra Resilience Integrated Project. And the components of the project is to build the resilience of Accra. One of it is to deal with issues of flooding, i.e. the storm drains and then the Odo River, and move even informal settlements that are dotted along the banks of the river away. But that movement is going to be handled by the Ministry of Inner City and Zongo Development. So in that plan, it's also... it has delayed a bit because we're expecting it for official commencement early this year. And it appears that it is going to commence somewhere in September based on World Bank protocol, procedures that you have to follow and all kinds of things. Because left to the government of Ghana alone, we would have started this even somewhere last year. But we are working on it. And that because that's where the Accra Strength Diagnosis Report clearly indicated it. And in addition to that, we have to get a place somewhere in Domi where it will be also receive the water and hold it for a while before it releases in piecemeal. These are all part of the plan.
Does this Greater Accra
Resilience Integrated Project,
does it include funding for dredging?
Yes. In fact, it includes funding for bringing back the ecological life of the Korle Lagoon.
And paid for by who? The World Bank?
The World Bank.
How much money?
I think that it's about $200 million US.
So why haven't you dredged?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that the World Bank has got its own procedures that you have to follow the protocol, and that, delayed. So probably in anticipation of the release of the money that does not come, government of Ghana also have to...
But I still don't get it, because last year we interviewed you.
Yes.
And you said you were going to dredge the...
Of course, because you were also... Of course, because you were also banking your hope on this project, because that is what...
So you were banking your hope on a World Bank project?
Of course. But
the government of Ghana doesn't have budget for dredging?
No, the government of Ghana... But that's money. It's not a grant. It's a loan that the government will pay for. So it is when central government is planning its budget, you factor in all these into it.
So it took us a year to get the project, because you started dredging last week.
Yes.
Last week is first week in April.
Yes.
I interviewed you a year ago.
Yes.
In the studio.
No, but we dredged last year as well.
You did?
What you are supposed to do is to dredge more frequently, because as for the silt, it comes into the Odo and the lagoon all the time. So that's what actually happens. But the truth of the matter is...
So you dredged last year?
Oh, you dredged last year.
Which part?
Oh, we dredged the Korle Lagoon.
Up to where?
Dredging is done every year.
So where to where? Because I use the graphic road every day. So I just wondered, did you dredge the part?
And I'm saying that
that gives you graphic road.
2017, we do dredge. In fact, the company that dredges the Korle Lagoon they have their office around the Korle Lagoon, dredge masters. So the records are available. But the point is that
in 2018,
they dredged in 2017, they dredged in 2018, and
from where to where?
Well, the dredging of the Korle Lagoon itself starts from the Odo, that's the Alajo enclave, through the circle, and then go through the graphic road, Beima side.
So did they invite media to see the dredging they were doing? Because I don't remember any dredging.
But we started again. We have not invited the media.
No, but if you are dredging a major drain that is so important to the flow of water in Accra, you can't do that on the blind side of the media.
Well, I'm saying that we've started again. We have not invited the media.
We started last week.
We started last week. And maybe you can follow.
Yeah.
Mayor, I think you are being diplomatic. You don't have money to dredge, and you haven't done any dredging. I put it to you that you haven't done any dredging.
We have that dredging, and I'm saying that the dredging have commenced last week.
But how can we measure the effectiveness of your dredging then? Because it's rained for less than 2 hours, and people are already getting flooded across here.
Well, because there's a lot of sit and the dredging started. In fact, the dredging will take a long time because it moves from, we don't have a lot of machines, so they have 3 different machines that will be placed at 3 different intervals.
You don't have the resources. You
And
have 3 machines.
That will be placed at 3 different intervals.
3 dredging machines.
And then we will continue to the other side. So that's the briefing that I got from the
So we are going to get
team.
flooding this year. We are going to get serious flooding this year, aren't we?
Well,
because number one, the rains are going to be
that.
more. And number 2, we have only 3 dredging machines. Number 3, we started dredging last week. That was a week into the rains.
What I mean by we have 3 dredging machines, so there are different machines that they have.
3 excavators.
It cannot be 3 excavators. There are a lot of machines that they are working on. I'm saying that they have 3 different locations that they are dredging at different intervals. That's what they do. And then they moved to the next. In fact, it's also informed by some technical considerations, which probably technical people have to explain. Because if you are not careful, you remove the silt from here, and then it will come back again. So it's all part of the technical consideration.
Mayor,
so it is not like
take a break.
It is not like we have only 3 machines. There are a lot of machines that are working over there.
We'll take a break. We are trying to figure out what really has been going on since a year ago. And trust me, the rains, we are told, are going to be heavier this year. Will we be ready? We'll be finding out when we come back. Stay tuned.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news, all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes. Witness the twisted and tangled story of betrayal, greed, vengeance, and love in the award-winning Brazil Avenue. Carminia, a woman led by greed, gets rid of her husband, who is Rita's father, and sends Rita away to a filthy landfill. Rita finds love in Batata, but they are soon separated by adoption into different families, far away from each other. Many years later, all paths cross again, as Rita, now a renowned chef, seeks to pay back her stepmother for taking away her happiness as a child. It's a story of twists, turns, suspense, and thrilling action in Brazil Avenue. Brazil Avenue airs Wednesdays to Fridays from 10 to 11 p.m. only on Citi TV.
Welcome back. This is The Point of View. We're trying to test our readiness for the rains, and it doesn't seem as if we're ready. Let me read some of your comments. Vida Asai from West Fijai says, why is it that every year when it rains, we only hear of the effects in Accra and not Takrady or Sunyani? It is because they are very dirty. They throw rubbish into gutters, and when it rains and there's flooding, they call government. Is the president the one who threw those refuse into the gutters? Vida is not happy. Stephen from Kintampo says, it's so unfortunate to witness this pathetic story every year due to lack of political will to demolish buildings and other structures on waterways, all in the name of winning elections. whenever predictions come from our meteo department, this is mostly after the rains have already caused havoc. Why is that so? Is it because they have outmoded instruments? I think this is not fair because they have said to us we are going to have more rain this year. Yeah. They said it before the rain started. So let's be fair to them. Kojo Amo Ansan from Accra says, Accra will continue to flood every year until citizens change their lifestyle of dumping refuse into drains. Our attitudes are so bad. Ben Alamet in Sawam, when will my rainy season start? In Sawam is in the East Coast zone, I think. So it started. Unless you are in the forest zone, where it's also started first week in March. Good evening, Bernard. I think most of the causes of the floods in Accra is human attitude and indiscipline towards our environment. I believe change of attitude will help you minimize this. Jerry from John Terre from Sapema. So let me come to the urban planner. Tell me candidly, we are in second week of April. We had an hour of rain and Accra got flooded. It's going to get worse, isn't it?
From my point of view, yes.
It's going to get worse.
Because if you really want to solve it, it's final. You need to actually put in lots of capital. And how your city functions is actually based on how you fund it. You have a city that has a lot of population concentrated within the coastal area. And that's where most of Ghana's investments are. So as a matter of priority, we have to ensure that this is a key critical or topical issue that we have to prioritize and invest into. We can't wait and then every year it becomes a major flashpoint of discussion. If we are serious about this, we have to invest massively into it and ensure that all the engineering works are done, as well as the green or soft aspects.
And that won't happen by next week.
From the look of things, the mayor has, based on what he is saying, it seems they don't have enough funding to do that. And that's not only the problem of Accra. I think we've even limited the discussion to Accra. When I was doing some work recently and I realized Cape Coast floods, Aguna Swedro, City FM reported on that last year, Upper East, Upper West. There are almost all our cities are developing that. So
it's not an Accra issue.
It's not.
It's an urban planning issue.
It's an urban planning issue. Mainly, it's urban planning and then implementation of the plans as well as funding to deliver the major infrastructure works. Other than that, we will just be kidding ourselves. Mayor, every year, it will become a major flashpoint of discussion and nothing will be.
So, Mayor, Mr. Amedzro says we are going to have floods this year. You can't deny that. We will have flooding in Accra this year.
Well, let me say that the rain will fall, and depending on how the rain will fall. But in every city management, you need to put in mitigating measures. I mean, you cannot say that the flood that occurred in California, Florida, parts of Japan, and other areas, that the weather pattern has changed and things are happening. So it cannot be only Accra that you can say that as a result of our inability to deal with the issue, and that is what is causing flooding. However, admittedly, there are challenges that we also have in the system, which I have told you that systematically we are dealing with it. Issues about waste management. Just last week, for the first time in Accra, that we provided facility to a private company that has constructed a recycling and compost plant that can treat 400 tons of waste. I, as a chief executive, when I assumed office, I have said that these issues we've witnessed over a long period of time. So how do we deal with the fundamental issues and stop the coming of, we can have 100 days of cleaning Accra, you can have the president jumping into the gutter to clear leadership, by example, all these things. It has never arrested the situation. What we are dealing with is the fundamental issues, and I have indicated to you that connected to flood is waste management. So how do I deal with the waste management issue? Is to be able to provide the necessary equipment and infrastructure to arrest the situation. And that is what my focus is on. Without that, we can be talking about some of these things. So you can only judge us by asking us that, are we doing ABC to be able to do these things? And I have indicated to you, there's a transfer station currently even at Achimota that received over 500 tons of waste, and that also, because you see, 30% of the waste in Accra is collected by informal collectors. And those who use the aboboyas, the bola taxis, they can't go far. So either two, you could find a lot of waste even on the streets that has been hit by these people. Now that you have provided them with the waste transfer station and the waste compost plant within the city center, they have a very small area to navigate to be able to go and dump and camp. We haven't said that we have dealt with all the issues with sanitation, but we are on course in dealing with the issues in terms of provision of infrastructure.
So to cut a long story short, are we ready for the rains? No. Will Accra flood again?
Well,
this year?
I think yes. I share a totally different view.
I'm summarizing the show.
Of course, but that's your view.
The answer after everything we've heard is
that's your view.
Is Accra ready for the floods? No.
Bernard,
will Accra get flooded again? Yes.
Bernard,
take it from me.
That's your view.
No, that's what.
But I share a totally different view. I am saying that
we've run out of time.
I am saying that there are things that we are doing to deal with it.
It's a simple question.
So
look, are we ready for the rains?
Let me conclude by saying that, for instance, First Light, which floods every year, and it floods simply because you have a 0.6 meter.
We don't have time. So will Accra? Are we ready for the rain?
We are always ready.
Will the Accra flood this year?
Well, we are working on it.
It's a yes or no question.
If it rains more than necessary, I will not be able to guarantee.
Kekeli Amedzro is an urban and town planner, and Mohamed Ajeso is the mayor of Accra. I've been trying to answer the simple question. You have the answer at home. Thank you for watching CTV, and good night.
Point of View is brought to you in association with Castlegate Estate. We make home ownership easier, and Stanbic Bank, moving forward.